And as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, the MACC Fund is celebrating its 40th anniversary.
Today's TMJ4 has been a proud partner for almost that entire ride.
And here's a look at how the MACC Fund began and its long partnership with today's TMJ4. December 1976, the son of then Milwaukee Bucks broadcaster Eddie Doucette was in a fight for his life.
It was the hospital, and they said, "You better get down here right away. We have to talk to you."
His son had leukemia. That spurred conversations between Doucette and Buck star John McLaughlin as John thought about which charity to highlight on his night of retirement.
And Eddie said, "Boy, it'd be neat if you could do something for childhood cancer." And I said, "Yeah, you know, I'd really like that."
The Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer, or MACC Fund, was born.
We really didn't know the impact it had then or would have.
For the MACC Fund, our check is $2,400.
In its first year, the MACC Fund raised $35,000. In 1981, the MACC Fund partnered with today's TMJ4, and together we produced the MACC-a-thon. John McLaughlin and Terry Mewson were the first hosts.
We're on the way up. We're going to hit $1 million some year.
John fondly remembers one particular evening when the phones were silent and Terry interviewed a family who had lost a child to cancer.
Terry had become a mother the year before. So she interviewed them, and then she looked into the camera, and she just lost it. And then when she finished and passed it, and then it went over to me, the phones went ballistic.
Each of those donated dollars going to researchers who want to find a cure.
These people, no recognition, no identity whatsoever. They don't want it. They just want to save lives. They are superstars.
Those superstars helped save Eddie's son's life. Brett is now a proud husband and father of a little girl named Natalie. Here's the entire family. There are now at least 75 annual events that support the MACC Fund, including the Bucks MACC Fund game, Brian Goddard's Bowling for MACC, the Trek 100, the Women for MACC's Couture for a Cure, and the today's TMJ4 MACC Star. Today's auction will help the MACC Fund. The sports auction for MACC. The MACC Fund is so well known, major sports stars won a part.
About 7 years ago, Aaron Rodgers contacted us. And he looked us up, found out about us, and said, "I want to be involved."
Over the 40 years, $57 million have been donated. The cure rate for childhood cancers has gone from 0 to 80%. But the fight is not over.
Because even at the 80%, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're problem-free.
Until then, the MACC Fund will be here.
It's a great success story of the limelight of athletics, a very worthy cause, and the great people of Wisconsin. "40 years, never thought that we would see the day that would be what it has become and what's on the horizon."
Yeah, very important tradition here in Southeast Wisconsin, and we have our own Johnny Mack here. An honor to see you here and be with us. You know, did you ever imagine we would get to this point, 40 years, and also the cure rate? It's just incredible what has happened.
Sure, Carol, I knew all this would happen. You know, I've been asked that question quite often, and it's impossible for me to know that we could have given $57 million and had the impact that we've had. Actually, when we started it 40 years ago, we just kind of took it day by day, week by week, month by month, promoted, people started calling. And I really believe that a MACC Fund story might not have happened in too many places other than right here in Wisconsin.
Right. We keep talking about these numbers going from a 20% cure rate to 80%. Mm-hmm. How rewarding is that when you hear those numbers?
It's, in my case, it's remarkable rewarding. However, the however is we still have to improve the protocols, the invasiveness of it, and 100%. And that's so I guess I continue to look at that goal rather than that we've gotten to 80. But those are lives we're talking about. We're talking about lives, not you know, annual incomes or gross revenues or, you know, some kind of percentage. We're talking about children's lives and families' lives, the way it impacts all the people. This is the most important thing that I've ever been involved with.
I'm looking over your shoulder at Bailey Dove, and when you talk about lives, that's
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
And, you know, we began this broadcast with a young man who did not make it. And this is why there are still people out there, families out there in pain. And, you know, the MACC Fund has done so much to support the families. When you talk to the families, they say they couldn't have gone through this without the help.
You know, Carole, when I speak, very often I'll tell some stories, family stories from people who have come up to me and embraced me in different ways over the years. And it's at that moment that I have the most emotional time, the most difficult time getting it out. I'm a grandfather too, you know, and that's what we have to understand. When a child gets cancer, it affects a family and all the group around the family, the friends and everybody. It's devastating in that way. And you know what else about the MACC Fund that I think is important to point out? It's a great story about taking the limelight of athletics through the Milwaukee Bucks. Without them, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. When Eddie Doucette and I would talk about the MACC Fund during games all the time, and people started calling. It's a great story of taking that limelight and pointing it on something really worthwhile, like childhood cancer, putting it together, and look what we have. It's a remarkable story. It belongs to all the people of Wisconsin and thousands of people that have given their heart and souls to what we're doing. And things like this, everyone here in this room, it's the best of people.
Yeah, so profound and something bigger than all of us. John, and you helped start it.
Yeah, and don't go anywhere, because just for old time's sake, in a few minutes, John's going to help us with our hosting duties.
Yes.